bad to the bone.
I threw my heart in the flames, it's all part of the game. I'm kinda part tame, arcane, hella dark in this lane. Jolly Roger on my Harley, sipping Grateful Dead barley while I ship this crisp barley, smoking 420 Barney with my American Barbie. I'm the summa cum laude, how could I ever be tardy? We shoot at the sheriff nowadays with Bob Marley. Pinky and my pointer finger up for the gnarly. Yes, the beast eats hearty, that's what third regarding. I walk on crossroads on top of all bones. What I call home, Corleone cyclone, got the eyes of a drone. I'm despising the clones, that's why I'm writing.
Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Yeah. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Where that nigga Machiavelli at? Real nigga. Where that nigga Nat Turner at? Real nigga. Where that nigga Jamie Foxx at? Real nigga. Where that nigga John Coltrane? Real nigga. Where that nigga Jay-Z at? Real nigga. Where that nigga Benjamin Banneker? Real nigga. Where that nigga Samuel Jackson? Real nigga. Where that nigga Louis Armstrong? Real nigga. Where that nigga Master P at? Real nigga. Where that nigga Frederick Douglass at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Danny Glover at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Miles Davis at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Puff Daddy at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Harry Tubman? A real nigga. Where that nigga Whoopi Goldberg? A real nigga. Where that nigga Lena Horne at? A real nigga. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Where that nigga Beyonce at? A real nigga. Where the real Rick Ross at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Washington Carver? A real nigga. Where that nigga Fred Hampton at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Maya Angelou? A real nigga. Where that nigga Jeff Fort at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Malachi York? A real nigga. Where that nigga Angela Davis? A real nigga. Where that nigga Shaka Khan at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Rayful Edmond? A real nigga. Where that nigga Madam Walker? A real nigga. Where that nigga Asada Shakur? A real nigga. Where that nigga Oprah Winfrey at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Madam Sinclair? A real nigga. Where that nigga Colin Muhammad? A real nigga. Where that nigga Huey P. Newton? A real nigga. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Where that nigga Mayweather at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Martin Luther King? A real nigga. Where that nigga Idi Amin? A real nigga. Where that nigga Emmett Till at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Tiger Woods at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Malcolm X at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Chaka Zulu at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Mike Brown now? A real nigga. Where that nigga Bo Jackson at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Marcus Garvey at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Mansa Musa? A real nigga. Where that nigga Trayvon Martin? Real nigga. Where that nigga Magic Johnson at? A real nigga. Where that nigga Obama at? A real nigga. Where's that Amistad shit full of real niggas? Pour out a bottle of Louis for real niggas. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back. Yeah, what y'all need to understand about this racism talk is that everybody wants to get into hip-hop, and y'all niggas can't claim this 400, 500 years of slavery like dog. You understand? This jazz, this rap, this rock and roll, this pimping and hoeing, this gangster shit that we do because that's how we got out of slavery, my nigga. That's how we survived, my nigga. So while you think this shit is a night in the club, this is our lifestyle. This is all the fuck we got. Understand that. You ain't got the scars on your back, homie. It's not in your blood. It's in ours. And it will forever be. Know that. Real nigga spit ain't nothing but facts. Other motherfuckers don't got scars in their back.
Niggas can't see how the business work. They got to come to the round table.
That's right.
With the God and set it.
Black Power.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Hey man, we gotta. I got a presentation coming up. We ain't got the date set because we round tabling
That's
over
right.
here.
We going together though.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
You know, this kicked out of heaven, you know, the untold history of the white races from 700 to 1700 AD. We're gonna go, boy, going in on your master. Going in on your granddad.
Yeah, on master other land.
Yeah, going in on master once again.
Nah, when I saw that meme, you remember that meme? When they blew up Britain, and I saw that meme where they said, Lord, they done blew up master other land. That's what this shit is right here. This is master other land. Okay, this is Europe right here. You dig what I'm saying? We ain't got the date set, man. You know, this is a little short video. We over here, early bird, doing it.
That's
you know,
getting ready to get big.
Yeah.
Most definitely, we gonna get together, and this is right up my alley.
Yeah.
And I really wanna get down to some of the major topics of the book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So get back with me.
Yeah. He gonna do the questionnaire and see what's happening here is I'm gifting. This is when you doing business.
That's
you
right.
gotta gift.
That's right.
And I gift niggas who done put in the work, and he done put in the work with many documentaries, flying all across the globe, doing his lecturing. So this is gifting for men who put in work. This is for those who know me. You know what I'm saying? I gift niggas.
This right up my
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more coming, man. Especially for those who gonna help me out with the music and all of that. And the guys 720 all on Amazon. Keenan Booker all on Amazon. You can you know, put both names in the search engine and different products will pull up.
That's
you
right.
dig what I'm saying? So yeah, we making this real early. This ain't number 2-3 minutes, man. Let y'all niggas know how we do in Vegas, man. Early bird get the worm.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
BangOnTheBeats.com.
Yeah, bangonthebeats.com. He got tell him about the come ups. You got this is already in stone, man.
Oh man, July the 9th, I'm gonna be in Dallas, you know, Pan-African Connection. Brother Robert West down there. I might even fuck his name. Right?
So we just, you know, July 9th, you gonna be where? In Dallas, okay? Y'all look out and y'all put y'all go check it out and see what's going down, man. What you gonna be talking about?
Oh man, the revolutionary history of ancient Kemet.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
So
the warriors.
Yeah, the warriors and the conflicts.
That's right.
Right. So you know, that's what we're gonna be talking about, man. Y'all check out the guy720.com. Y'all check out Kicked Out of Heaven, Black Man's Bible. We doing it, all right?
Black Power.
Yeah. Okay. I'm doing this again and again and again. We got the Welcome to Hell Lecture. This is Kicked Out of Heaven Volume 2. We've already went through the imp and the witchcraft. There's a couple things I didn't mention in the witchcraft that I have to mention here. This is the occult side of what was going on during the Grand Dark Ages. Okay? So, here we have hypertrichosis, which is a disease which causes hair to grow excessively all over the body. During the times, as you can see, this is painted in 1662. So what was going on? These people right here, why they have drawings of them, which these are actual people. There's a whole family who have this. Just like I remember when I was younger, there was a family that showed up on Jerry Springer, used to go around on the talk shows, and they had hair all over their body. You remember? You seen it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, that was there. So they had a lot of hallucinations that they were getting high off of. So to confuse everything, it was, oh, it's a dog, it's a werewolf, man. The people were extremely insane, could have confused some stuff. So it is true that the positions nicely distinguish two kinds of lycanthropy, the one rising from possession by the devil, the other natural. As Daniel Sennert says, at which point it is necessary to emphasize very explicitly the difference between lycanthropy and werewolfery, since these are two diverse and heterogeneous things, although both are clearly of a satanic origin. An exception may possibly be made if there is added so as to convince us an instance of natural lycanthropy, although I hold that such can hardly be. Okay? Now, the lycanthropy is a medical classification which states the individual thinks he is a werewolf or some form of quadruped, okay, that usually is ferocious. Hence the bear, the wolf, the leopard, the tiger, the lion, the hyena, okay, the jackal, okay. Now, this ferociousness supposedly of the state of lycanthropy will also make others view them as an animal. Underneath the state of an animal, there is no human appearance. Okay, supposedly. Now that is the hardcore werewolfery that doesn't have the appearance, which we're going to go over right now. But this one is supposed to work by a form of glamour or a form of illusionary art, which makes one believe that he's a werewolf. It makes other people see him as a werewolf, which is supposedly the definition as well for werewolfery. But these are the effects and not the cause. The cause underneath lycanthropy is a medical condition. They don't necessarily state the cause. They're stating that the person is just purely insane and stupid. Now, under werewolfery, there is another definition which states that there is a girdle applied which is given by the devil, which we will talk about here shortly. The sufferer, the lycanthrop, may, it is true, be an innocent victim, thus woefully afflicted that the works of God should be made manifest in him, as was the man who was blind from his birth, and whom our Lord healed. Often again, it is that Satan has betrayed his servant, the sorcerer, the werewolf, has plagued him and driven him mad to make him more miserable in life and to involve him even more irretrievably in perdition. For the sorcerer is one who has made a pact with the devil, and as Guazzo points out, these pacts are not only vain and useless, they are also dangerous and immeasurably pernicious. Remy also speaks of all who have surrendered themselves to the power of the demon as weary of his tyranny and bitterly conscious of their guilt, ever wishing to throw off the yoke of evil so harsh and unjust a taskmaster as Satan, who shides and punishes them sorely at each motion towards good, each inspiration of grace. So, he is also stating that the state of werewolfery is a punishment, which may not be seen as a punishment by the sorcerer who is in allegiance with the devil. And due to the fact that he is in allegiance with the devil has an allowance to do whatever he likes with him. So, the sorcerer mistakenly doesn't know this and gets caught underneath whatever spells or whatever diseases or whatever afflictions that the devil wants to put upon him. And werewolfery and lycanthropy, basically not werewolfery, but lycanthropy is considered to be one of these illusions. And this is the mental condition which makes one act like a werewolf and a savage and so on and so forth. Now, we have just spoken of those who are innocent victims of evil, unless there be some misunderstanding or ambiguity with regard to this particular point, one which has already confessedly offered difficulties and I fear led some into error. It will accordingly not merely be befitting, but also incumbent to inquire how far and in what manner, by the aid of the devil, witches are able to torment and torture others, to harm and waste men's goods, to visit their bodies with sickness, even to kill and bring to the grave. Now, what this is also stating here when it says innocent victims of evil, what they're talking about is people who commit evil but don't literally state that they're doing evil, or they are in allegiance with the devil, or whatever the case. So these may be people who lie, who commit rumors, who run their mouth, who, break up relationships, home breakers, things of that nature. Okay? These people are in allegiance with the devil indirectly and can also get caught with such affliction. Okay? So, Gaspar Pusser, from 1525-1602, the physician, son-in-law and friend of Melanchthon, in his Commentarius de Principiis Divinationum Generibus, 1553, de Theomantia, thus explains the shape-shifting of the demon werewolf. Thus, those who are changed suddenly fall to the ground as if seized with epilepsy, and there they lie without life or motion. Their actual bodies do not move from the spot where they have fallen, nor do their limbs turn to the hairy limbs of a wolf, but the soul or spirit, by some fascination, quits the inert body and enters the spectrum of a wolf, and when they have glutted their foul lupine lusts and cravings by the devil's power, the soul re-enters the former human body, whose members are then energized by the return of life. He holds it certain that the ego becomes enclosed in a wolf's form with bestial motions and ferocity. Okay. Now, let me say here that before we go into the female's form of let's just go into the female's form. I'd like to talk about, mention that right there. But that was basically what it said, demon werewolf, and that's in the 1500s. They're talking about the transformation and not necessarily that he turns into the werewolf. But we will get into werewolfism here in a second. Okay, that was basically lycanthropy. Now, much folklore surrounds cats, presumably because a cat is thought to have 9 lives, witches were able to assume the shape of a cat 9 times. Broth made from black cats will theoretically cure consumption. However, black cats were thought to be the devil himself. And on Easter and Shrove Tuesday, during the Middle Ages, black cats were routinely hunted down and burned. Cats accused of being witches' familiars were generally burned alive. Now, some of that activity is probably sporadic when it comes to geographic location. It's not to say that it was done extremely in every single corner, but there are going to be different philosophies pertaining to cats in every single corner, because it is part of the folklore of what we now call witchcraft or occultism, because of Christianity and what it has put in place historically. Okay. Now, the testimony of many trials portrayed witches or heretics like the Waldensians and the Cathari as a gathering together to kiss the posterior of a black cat. The Cathari or Cathar were given their punning names for this reason. According to William of Paris' 12th century De Legibus, so according to the idolatrous practice of this age, Satan is believed to appear in the form of a black cat and to demand kisses from his adherents. One abominable kiss under the cat's tail. Okay. So, as we talked about the Osculum in fame in the witchcraft lecture, this is what the activity that they were committing. Now we look at the word Catholic, that's cat hole lick. So, and the Catholics are Christians. So what is that about? It's just that their philosophy holds up the saints, which holds up the gods of the old world. You see. So, anyways, let's go on here now. We got the cat. This is the cat piano. There's other so-called witchcraft or occultic instruments that were used. Now, I stated this to somebody. I think it was a girl I was talking to, and they did the meow, 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 the joint. Remember the TV commercial? Mm-hmm. That would be a cat piano by sound. Hey, it's being slipped on you in so many different ways. I mean, I see it in the titles of songs, Dirty Diana. I mean, I see it in all types of, you just don't know what's really going on here. Okay, but it's being thrown in front of your face all the time. This is the cat piano, and as you can see, they put the cat inside the piano, they put the tail underneath thing, and they play, and the cats strike different notes. Okay, so now here we go. In other folklore, if a cat jumps over a dead body, the corpse will become a vampire. To stop this, the cat has to be killed. In addition, during the 17th century, a cat boiled in oil was believed to be excellent for dressing wounds. Illnesses could be transferred to felines, which were then driven from homes. Diseases could also be created with cats. In order to cause the plague, a powder made from the body of a cat stuffed with fruit, herbs, and grain is hurled down from the mountaintops as a fertility charm. A cat buried in a field will ensure a bountiful crop. Conversely, to destroy crops, some accused witches were said to have filled the skin of a cat with assorted vegetable matter, put it in a spring for a period of 3 days, and then to dry and grind the mixture. On a windy day, they go up a mountain and scatter the powder across the land as a sacrifice to the devil, who in return for their offering will destroy the crops. So, there's a lot in the book, Volume 2, about women turning into cats in certain situations where, the cat attacked a hunter, and the hunter knocked off the cat's paw, and then the woman was found without her hand. And these are coming out of court trial cases. There's several reports like that. That's also with rabbits. Females are more correlated to the cat. Why? Because cats have a seduction with the way they walk, so on and so forth. There's also a wisdom level there. They say the black cat is the devil. I've heard that in other realms of theology as well. So, the relation is there, will always be there. I don't know why. The true definition on why, you can go into deep words like catastrophe, which is, cat astro, when you talk about catastrophe, So, it's there in a lot of different ways, There's an alien connection. There's a deep Egyptian connection with the whole cat thing. There's, maybe I'll write a book on it in 10 years. Who knows? So, here goes the hare. Okay? Now, the rabbit, the Playboy bunny, when they say hare, the hare is more aggressive than a rabbit and a bunny. that they show you on the TV with the symbology of today in American media. In American media, you don't see too much about the hair. The hair is violent and aggressive. But anyways, in Norway and Iceland, those men who could assume another shape were said to be Einheimer, not of one form. The adopted shape was called by the same name as the original shape, hammer. In the process of transformation, they called skipta hamam or hamas. Hamrami signifies the supernatural strength that's acquired. The going about in that form was Hamfor or Hamfarir. A man who thus became possessed of more than human might was Hamaramer, a man who traveled with surpassing speed, therefore was Hamlepa. Now, this is important because this is a strong metaphysic right here. You got the hammer, which if I was to say hammer to you today, you automatically think that it's a tool that does what? Create the shape shifting. So you have to understand that, and we're going to go deeper on it right here because I ran into some information about it today. These hammer-rammers, and well, just let me read real quick. The name for a wolf shirt, okay, which was another form of turning into the werewolf, okay, which affected the metamorphosis to a wolf was Alpha Hammer, okay, and the werewolf himself was commonly known as Varger. In modern Scandinavia, the term werewolf, which has been extended to include the shapeshifting to a bear, for all the hammer-rammer, none were more famous than the Berserkers, the Berserk men. 12 Berserkers were the chief followers of several kings of old, as for example the Danish King Rolf Krake, King Adils, and Harald Harfagri. In battle, the Berserkers were subject to fits of frenzy, fervor berserkicus, termed Berserkers, Ganger. When they howled like wild beasts, foamed at the mouth, and bit through the iron rim of their shields. During these fits, they were, according to popular belief, proof against steel and fire, and made terrible havoc in the ranks of the foe. When the fever abated, they were weak and tame. In the Icelandia Just Ecclesiastica, the Berserker's Ganger is regarded as diabolic possession and can only be cured by religious vows. That was written in 1190 for the priest that was alive, 1190 to 1249. Okay, so we see that the word berserk, which is still used today in the same context of don't make me go berserk or go berserk on them. Okay, the word alone conceals the energy and is also related to a supposed group of individuals that ride a line of mythology and reality, that were supposedly a part of the army of specific gods in the Nordic realm. Okay, now the changing to the shirt is the wolf shirt is a term that we use today, but during these times this was a tainted garment. And by society, people did not want to be recognized as wearing a shirt or having a shirt on, or if you did have a shirt on underneath, it was not to be seen. Okay? Now, the shape-shifting is very evident. They're shape-shifting into the bears, and we're using the hammers. This is the stories of old. We have the word ganger here, which is probably where the word gang came from, as I said. These were considered like the mercenary men, and there were several of them. Okay? So. Oh yeah, there's another thing I wanted to say. This here is the symbol of Russia. The Russians used the bear. And they also have what on their flag? The hammer. And they also have the Sith. Okay? Remember that. Werewolfism. Now, and before we continue, let me go in. You have to understand that the Berserkers, or the turning into a bear, turning into a werewolf, is the finite freedom. It is to commit the savagery and as an animal, because animals can commit any level of savagery, and there is no court to face. There is no justice to face. There is no ridicule by your peers to face when you commit any type or any form of savagery. Therefore, savagery is the true essence of freedom in the human realm. Because humans are bound by moral law. And due to moral law, you will not be allowed to experience the full capacity of human experience, which means traveling all areas of the mind. The mind is experience. The mind is creative. And we have to understand that the processes of lycanthropy or werewolfism is inside the psyche of all peoples on the planet. All people on the planet have stories in the old days, in the old world, of turning into animals. I have also heard of recent reports out of Africa. This is what people tell me, but I don't believe anything out of anybody's mouth. Okay? So, werewolfism, it may be asked if a person who has the fearful power of shape-shifting can be in any way recognized. It is almost certain that a mysterious and unnatural order must lower about these bond slaves of Satan, and the animal will devour the human as when their ears become pointed, and they hop stealthily in their walk. Boguet notes that the werewolves who came before him to be tried, owing to their nocturnal coursings through briars and brambles over the countryside, were all scratched on the face and hands and legs, and that Pierre Gandion was so much disfigured in this way that he bore hardly any resemblance to a man, and struck with horror who looked at him. Boguet was more qualified to pronounce and had better opportunity of judging, insist upon most emphatically are the horrible eyes of the werewolf, the mirrors of the bestial soul, and also that the werewolf, even in human form, is unmistakably animal. Okay. So, that's what we got going. This is how big a werewolf can be. This is what I was looking at. This is what I found. Okay. Now, when we talk about Jesus being the Lamb, also means he is in, Jesus being the shepherd is what I meant to say. And protecting the sheep is a rebirth from the werewolf. Because the werewolf is the one who attacks. You see, it is not the regular wolf or a dog that the shepherd has to protect from. The shepherd has to protect from the werewolf. As you can see, the man's hand and the foot and the head in representation. This picture is in reference to the Beast of Gabadon, which is a situation that happened in the late 1700s of an enormous beast that they said killed over 200 people in the span of a year. Constantly they were finding bodies ravaged with the innards ripped out and also amputated all across the streets of Gabadon. I think that is France. I don't quote me right now, but it's in the book. Okay. So, regardless of that, we have King Lycon. King Lycon is the child of Zeus, Please understand that in Greece, Zeus is noted as Zeus the Ethiop of old. You go old into the information. Zeus is known as the Ethiop. Okay. So, King Lycan here, the first werewolf, Zeus' son. Okay, and that's from Greece. Now, the story of King Lycan takes us back to remotest antiquity, to the days before a flood covered the world. The age of the giants and the titans, and Lycan was the son of Pelasgos, who was the son of Mother Earth, and it was when Nyctimos, the son of Lycan, ruled in his father's room that the deluge of Deucalion overswept the continents. Okay? Now, I just said it was the child of Zeus, which, okay, let's see here. Okay, so that's it. He is the king of Arcadia. Not the father of Zeus, but okay. I mean, not Zeus' son. I got that wrong. So, this is the truth. I just looked it up. This is Pelasgos. You gotta understand. Right now, I'm in the middle of writing the 3rd volume, so I'm reading and studying saints and the black virgins and the Moors and everything else. You know, I wrote this 6-7 months ago. So I have to be refreshed a little bit. But anyways, late medieval accounts of particularly intelligent wolves frequently raise the question of whether it actually was implied, it actually was simply a wolf or a human in wolf shape. This was the case in 1148, when a huge wolf killed 30 people in Geneva. Presumably, such skill in killing was considered beyond normal animal capacity. A late medieval definition of werewolf shows this view in a treatise of hunting. Edward, Duke of York, wrote, "There be some wolves that have eaten children or men, and they are called werewolves, for men should beware of them." Here we see a definition of werewolf that is totally devoid of any supernatural context. In most of the texts of the late Middle Ages, however, the supernatural was attributed to intelligent wolves, showing the second way to understand the behavior. The Malleus Maleficarum, the Renaissance tract for discovering witchcraft, addressed the question of wolves that were so fierce and smart they seemed unlike other wolves. The Malleus explained that they were wolves indeed, but they were possessed by devils. An exceptional wolf was transformed into a supernatural creature. This attempt to explain the actions of a wolf then contributed to a view in which species could blend and werewolves could exist. Now, one reason you only see men as wolves is because men rape. Okay, men can sexually ravage. Okay, women can't necessarily sexually ravage. But the women who do sexually ravage are called lupars and are also called lupinars. Lupinar was the name of brothels. That was the nickname of brothels, which means she-wolf. Okay, so we have to understand that a prostitute or a female, you might as well throw in a woman wearing the stilettos is, well, that would be in the night classification and not necessarily werewolf. But if we don't throw in being out at night with the moon in there, hey, you can throw some werewolfism on top of it, okay? And call it a brothel. There may be a lot of metaphysics on clubs where clubs are actually brothels and we don't know it, or there's energy to enforce those type of transactions to occur. Okay? So we have to understand that when it comes to this killed 30 people in Geneva, like I just said, the case of the Beast of Gabadon is 200 something people. And there's multiple cases like this. You have to understand that between 1700 and 1800 alone, there was over 10,000 people killed by wolves throughout Europe. So even when you read the weather section in volume 1, you see that there's activity going on with the wolves, and the wolves are repetitively mentioned. And there is some type of relationship or mysticism that is going on with the European and the wolf. Period. It's there. We've all been fed this wolf nonsense and this werewolf shit since children. We've all seen the Teen Wolf. We've all seen the Underworld. We have all seen, you know, the Jack Nicholson was the werewolf, so on and so forth, you know? So, we have to keep the ravaging in the land. We need you to want to ravage and fear the ravage at the same time. And the werewolf is the greatest entity to do that, as the wolf and genius classification is superior to the dog, of course, and does not have similar activities as a dog. Wolves are of their own breed. Of their own species, rather, should I say. But, you know, they're in there, okay? They're a different thing. Wolves are not dogs. Listen, please understand that. So, we're going to go over a little history right here. Now, in 1182, Welsh historian Geraldus Cambrensis, 1146 to 1223, encounters Irish werewolves who transformed during the Yuletide feast. The werewolves were reportedly natives of Ossory, whose people had been cursed by Saint Natalis for their wickedness. Now, we have to understand that Ireland is the home of the wolf. You must understand that. Okay. Ireland is considered to be the blame and the hold of all the mysticism. As a matter of fact, it's kind of deep. Because when I was writing volume 1, I was out on the strip. And what was he speaking? He was speaking Irish, they said he was speaking Irish?
Yes.
Or Scottish?
I think it was Scottish.
Yeah, it was one of them, but they're cousins. They're brother and sister, Ireland and Scotland, right? So, the motherfucker just walks up to us. We sitting here minding our business. This white boy walk up to us. That shit was some heavy sounding fucking shit. I don't know where it was coming from. But you just standing there staring at us, speaking Scottish out of or Irish out of nowhere. So I don't know what the fuck. But anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. That was a little crazy experience that happened during volume 1. When you write a book, you're gonna live a book. So if it's real, otherwise you just, you know, print some old macaroni weak ass shit. You know, yeah. This is real timing. Okay? Now, in 1502 to 1521, the three werewolves of Poligny, Pierre Bourgat, Michael Burndon, and Philibert Mentot, are burnt at the stake, being werewolves. All three of those cases are inside the book. The full case and everything that happened, how many people they killed, and also how they turned into a wolf. Now, in Pavia, Italy, a farmer in the form of a wolf is said to have torn many men in the open country to pieces. After being captured, he assures his captors that the only difference between himself and a natural wolf was that in a true wolf, the hair grew outward, whilst in him it struck inward. Okay. In order to put this assertion to the proof, the magistrates cut off his arms and legs and he dies from wounds. Now we have to understand that word proof. Because, and that's the level I'm at. I don't deal with a lot of jibber jabber. A lot of motherfuckers run their mouth, you know, about a bunch of bullshit. You're not reading, you know, and only animals don't read. So if you don't read, you're an animal. I don't give a fuck about you watching on DVD. If you do not read, you're an animal. Because animals don't read. And that is the ethereal definition to it. Okay? Now, besides that, okay, in 1555, Olaus Magnus records strange behavior of Baltic werewolves. Giles Garnier, the werewolf of Dole, is burnt at stake. He's inside volume 2 as well. Jacques Roulette goes on trial in Paris. He was found guilty of being a werewolf. 1588, the werewolf of Auvergne is burned at the stake. 1589, Peter Stubb is executed in Germany after terrorizing the countryside near Cologne in the form of a wolf. Okay. Have we ever seen, is there any movies with some hardcore old European that got werewolves happening and shit? Oh, we just seen one the other day. What was that shit? The Van Helsing? They had the big ass werewolf in the Van Helsing, didn't they? And they had elaborate ways to catch them in the woods and all types of shit. Because it was, you see how long it was going on. Look at this. Okay? Believed to be a werewolf in 1101. They're talking about werewolves in the 1100s, my dude. So if these cases, if Peter Stubb got down in 1589, and this is in 1182, that's 400 years solid of going to war with werewolves, my nigga. What the fuck is you talking about? So if we going to war with werewolves for 400 years, you best believe our tactics have grown very strong. Our stories are very strong. The way we get our evidence is very strong. The cases have got to be real. Because who is going to chronologically keep all of this shit? And I mean, how could it be a lie? Who's going to sit on their ass and think of all of this bullshit and then hide it? Because this ain't known to people. This shit is not known. If people was knowing that this shit was going down like this in Europe, you think they'd still be all up in these underworld movies and all these dumbass horror movies and shit? Huh? You think they'd still be watching that shit?
Yes, because you know the human is stupid. They'll try to track down, plant real werewolves and some more shit.
Well, who knows? The whole thing about this stuff is the ravaging of children, usually. It's women and children who are getting slaughtered. Okay? So, the werewolves are certain sorcerers. Understand that. Who, having anointed their bodies with an ointment, which they make by the instinct of the devil, and putting on a certain unchanged girdle, do not only unto the view of others seem as wolves, but to their own thinking have both the shape and nature of wolves, as long as they wear the said girdle. And they do dispose themselves as very wolves, in worrying and killing, and most of humane creatures. Of such sundry have been taken and executed in sundry parts of Germany and the Netherlands. One Peter Stomp, for being a werewolf and having killed 13 children, 2 women, and 1 man, was at Bedburg, not far from Cologne, in the year 1589. Put into a very terrible death, the flesh of diverse parts of his body was pulled out with hot iron tongues. His arms, thighs, and legs broke on a wheel, and his body lastly burnt. He died with very great remorse, desiring that his body might not be spared from any torment, so his soul might be saved. The werewolf, so called in German, is in France called loup-garou. In France, they call the wolf the loup-garou. The loup, which is connected to the lunar, which is connected to the lunatic, is what allows the moon to be the activation vice of the werewolf in our modern understanding and theater. But in ancient times, my friend, for more than 1,000 years, there is no mention of a moon with the wolves. Even though I'm pretty sure the wolves howled at the moon during those times as they do now. Right? But there was no mention of the transformation into a werewolf being done by the moon. As a matter of fact, I read several books on it, and it didn't even hit me until a couple of books in because I'm so, oh my God. I'm so astounded by what the fuck I'm reading. I'm like, shit, there's not a moon mentioned in sight. I had to get a modern book on the shit. This nigga up here talking about moons and shit. Yeah, we see why he's talking about moons. Because nobody wants to hear about the little children being devoured. Now, see, that's what happened in Greece. You know, when they were instructed on how to become a werewolf by an African man. Okay, supposedly. Yeah, that's what the documents state by Pliny. Okay, in Greece, there was an African that taught them how to turn into werewolves, and they had to go up to Mount Lycan and rip the guts out of a child, and then make a skin with the belt. And then when you make the skin with the belt, you're allowed to turn into a werewolf for a certain amount of time. So you take the belt off. Now, if there is a curse done upon you in order to turn into a werewolf, it was usually done in between the time of 7 to 10 years. And you would have to stay a werewolf for 7 to 10 years straight, live in the woods, and you would also have to, if you had to ravage men, then you had to ravage to survive, But there's one story written, and I do believe it comes out of Ireland, of civil werewolves that asked the priest to pray for their affliction because they were cursed. And he asked the priest to heal his wife who had broke her ankle, and she was also a werewolf for him. So that's one story, and I think I got that story in the book. In volume 3, we'll hear about Saint Nicholas and his connection with the werewolf in the Ireland, because the Ireland is the home of the wolf. And if you have, a unibrow, you are the wolf. That's right. But in the Addams family, they merged it, not the unibrow, but they used the widow's peak as the wolf, right? And in America, they've been using the widow's peak ever since with the wolf, right? Didn't they use that with the
With the Dracula scene.
But wasn't that Jack Nicholson when he did the wolf? Didn't he have the widow's peak joint? That was the 80s joint? Right, you want to go back, because you got to go back. When they did the werewolf in the black and white movie, I forgot the name of it, but he was sort of like friendly and comical. They didn't show him too much ravaging going on with that. But the Count Dracula is a completely different entity that really split off from the vampire. The vampire is more of an animalistic entity. So that, and both of those entities evolved from the undead. Okay? So you have to understand that the zombie, the vampire, and the Count Dracula, okay, stem from the undead. Now, there's a lot of metaphysics going on here. Now, in multiple reports, as I stated in the witchcraft lecture, on how Peter Stump was killed, they said what? They killed him and broke him on the wheel, as I just read, specifically so he will not reanimate. Right? If you bury an occultist or a necromancer or any of these type of individuals, you must break the limbs. Otherwise, the devil will hop into their body and reanimate the body, and they will come back alive.
And then they burn the body out.
Yeah, in order to supremely get rid of the issue, you have to lop off the head and burn the body. That's the best way to do it. There is no garlic. There is no cross. Okay? There is none of that shit. All that shit developed later as comical and theatrical. These are the real events with physical evidence that they occurred, or this was the mentality of the time. As you can see, there are two different designs here, and I have several more designs that are inside the book that are in different areas of Europe, in different countries. Scotland being one of the most frequent places of these. What they call mort safes is another name for them. Supposedly, individuals were robbing from the graves too. I do not want to take that away from the reality of the situation. People were robbing graves, but for you to have the mentality to stick your hand in a fucking carcass to steal anything, okay, especially in a regular cemetery, why are you stealing? Why are you robbing the graves? Because these people who are buried in these type of cemeteries don't got no money. There's nothing in that casket. So what are you robbing out of the grave then? You're stealing the carcass. You want the carcass for what purpose? To take to the school and get some money. You have to pay an arm and a leg for your tuition. As we are going through tuition problems in this country right now. You want to sell the cadaver. No, that is not what is occurring. They're using these body parts for all types of maleficia. Maleficia. That's how you say the word. I said it all wrong. Maleficia. Malleus maleficarum. The maleficia. The witch's work. As you can see right here, the porphyria. Yeah, you gotta get them out together for some of these words. This is a lot of Latin, a lot of old Greek, a lot of shit I had to learn. And I've been getting sloppy lately because it's about to be the end of the road. Volume 3 about to be out. And I can shut this door. Okay? So, here it is. The porphyra. This is the affliction which causes the disease. These is Brother Simon. This is the Cullen family. This is, you said True Blood was the TV show that had the Cullen family? Twilight. This is the real Cullen family. They were vampires on Twilight. This is the real Cullen family that the vampire shit comes from. Cullen. So, how do we do that? The metaphysics. We have to make it strong and potent in order for the people to believe and feel. Huh? And this is what's going on. And you got your fucking crazy mouth here. And I've seen children with this affliction right now, in 2017. I seen it when I was in Chicago. I seen a child, he had teeth just like this, he had 4 of them. Blink, 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 blink. And I say to myself, how is this nigga gonna get a girl? How is this nigga gonna communicate with the world with teeth looking like that? Your family understands, but the world ain't gonna understand, my dog. And the world is stupid, and they ain't gonna accept none of this shit. So what's gonna happen is you have the R2D2. You have the internet. And these people who have this disease are gonna do what? Develop a community, right? Huh? They're gonna become friends. So then we have a group of fucking vampires around here with the shit. Because this disease, as you can also see, the eyes are a little sunken in. Okay, they can't be exposed to sunlight. That's another part of this disease too. Is that the sunlight affects them real bad. It tears up their skin and tears up their hair and shit. That's why the hair is real light and crazy everywhere and can't be controlled. Same with dude right here, playing the Toxic Avenger. You remember this motherfucker right here. Yeah, the Toxic Avenger. I used to always look at it because I've seen him in other places besides the Toxic Avenger show. I was like, God damn, why did nigga look like that? You ain't normal, homie. You know? So he's an actor. He has the hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. Okay? He has no sweat glands, hair, fingernails, or teeth. Okay? And that's what it makes it look like you need to be drinking the blood. People of this who had this shit way back in the day were in dire need for blood. Just like you see in the volume 2, it's all types of reports. The lepers had to bathe in blood and shit, and were drinking blood and shit. And this is Nosferatu, 1922. He was only seen 9 times in the movie, and it's still an argument today. It's still mystical today on if this was a real vampire or not. Nobody knows. Because he's never been seen again since this movie, whoever that dude is. So, who knows? You know, but it is a theory that has been drug upon for very long. Now, the word vampire, let's talk about the metaphysics and media, since I did mention it. Okay. All of this comes from the undead. Zombie, we can automatically see that. I don't need to go too far there. The zombie is directly the undead, okay? We have to keep the root of the energy in. What you gotta understand is that all of these entities are bloodsuckers, right? Okay? We have the werewolf is a bloodsucker, the vampire is a bloodsucker, the undead is a bloodsucker, and Count Dracula is the bloodsucker. Right. Now, so we have to understand that Count Dracula was the entity for the New World. He was brought in with the black and white movie, the dude with the widow's peak, and the big collar and the cape. Right. That cat in the 1920s, 1910s, somewhere around the same time Nosferatu came out. You see? Would you see the match? How they brought both entities up at the same time? They brought the Count Dracula, who was romanticized, who was sweet, and the girl didn't know, and he had to slowly tell her, I'm a vampire, I can't see myself in the mirror, and the can't see himself in the mirror is the same status as the werewolf, as the man turning into the werewolf. What is that? You are allowed to do your freedom, your ravage, your savagery. You don't see yourself. You don't see the savagery that you commit. You see what I'm saying? As a vampire. So you must commit on. You must commence on. Okay? And even if you do see it, you won't be able to. Because this is how you have to survive. If you don't do it, you're going to be down here sucking on rats, like we saw in an interview with the vampire, right? So, that's the same thing, is to remove the responsibility and to maintain the status of a human by being respectful and civil. And since we want to maintain or create the position of the gentleman, which is the lowest status in the hierarchical system of old Europe, and I might as well go in on that a little bit too, because this is all related, is same as the emperor. The emperor is higher than the king and the queen. Now, the word emperor, how is that bastardized? By the word imp. An imp is a demon, okay? And then they also bastardize it by breaking it down to other words, like important, import, implicate, implement. You see what I'm saying? The imp is, they divided up the imp so hard that you'll never be able to see emperor again. You see? Because they divide the imp from, what's the rest of the word? Error. So we don't even have to worry about it, because all we have to do is make the definition of error wrong, negative, bad, boom, boom, boom. We only need to keep that up there one time. But imp is strong, so we're going to demonize it in several different ways. Now, I go in on the hierarchical system in the wordplay from imp to gentleman, because right in between you have another one, which is the count. And the word count is what allowed the savage vampire to be viewed as romantic. Because it's coming from a hierarchy. You see? It's coming from royal status. A count is of a royal rank. Okay? So to bastardize the rank, so we can bring in this president shit and all this other stupid shit we got to break down these ranks and take them out of the nature of existence. You see what I'm saying? So, we do that by taking the count, and we're going to demonize it by adding it to the vampire. Then we take Dracula. How we do the Dracula? Where does Dracula come from? We merge in the Vlad the Empire. How were we able to merge in Vlad the Impaler? Because of the word vampire alone, etymologically, it goes to the word Valkyrie. And the Valkyrie is an entity, a blood-sucking flying entity that is of Transylvania. Regardless, when you're talking about Europe, the blood-sucking energy is in Transylvania, hands down. It'll never be removed from there. So, Valkyrie being this blood-sucking flying entity, which has a lot of other rules and regulations to it inside the mythology system of Transylvania, allows the bat to come in. allows the flying of the vampire to come in. You see what I'm saying? So we can add all these other elements to it later because it's already rooted in another form. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why that's all said is because Count Dracula is a romanticized individual. But guess what? You don't even see Count Dracula no more. You only see that nigga on a cereal box. When it comes to these movies nowadays, it's like they done took the vampire and the Count Dracula and merged them into one entity. When you want to talk about the underworld movies or the Blade and all of that, they're civil, but they still have extreme ravage on them. You see what I'm saying? So back in the day, the like, you know, when we was coming up, the vampire is in movies like The Descent. Okay. It's a plural word. When you say vampire, you're saying that's like saying police. Okay? You are talking about one individual, but there is a plural to the individuality at the same time because they can duplicate quick. You see what I'm saying? And that can show up on you. Now, when it comes to the Frankenstein is a metaphysics of all of Europe being united as the Magna Carta. You know, Frankenstein is talking about the Franken Empire and the Jew. So we're talking about Frank Jews. That's also, you know, and it goes in deeper from that, you know, because France, from what I'm just now discovering, was one of the first holds of Europe. Frank came right after the Merovingian Empire, okay? It was the Frankish Empire, okay? So, anyways, again, in 1345 in the town of Lewin, a potter's wife who was reputed to be a witch died, and owing to suspicions of her pact with Satan was refused burial in consecrated ground and dumped into a dish like a dog. The event proved that she was not a good Christian, for instead of remaining quietly in her grave, such as it was, she roamed about in the form of diverse unclean beasts, causing much terror and slaying sun-shy persons. Okay. Thereupon she was exhumed, and it was found that she had chewed and swallowed one half of her face cloth, which on being pulled out of her throat showed stains of blood. A stake was driven through her breast, but this precautionary measure only made matters worse. She now walked abroad with the stake in her hand and killed quite a number of people with this formidable weapon. She was then taken up a second time and was burned, whereupon she ceased from troubling. The efficacy of this post-mortem auto de fe was accepted as conclusive proof that her neighbors had neglected to perform their whole religious duty and not having burned her when she was alive, and were thus punished for their remissness. Now, you have to understand, there's a lot being said there. When certain type of people die, or if you die in a certain way, you got buried a certain way. And that was the rule and regulation of the land. And if you didn't, there was these type of consequences that followed. Now, besides that, when it comes to her using the stake, as you see, this is the build-up of what we see today. Your knowledge of today says what? That you can kill a vampire with a stake in his heart, right? Right? They don't say that shit in the 1300s, my friend. In the 1300s, you give him the stake, he might bop you upside the head with it. You stab him in the heart. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's happening with that. Now you also gotta understand this story. There's another story that's very similar to it, and you'll find that throughout history when you're a real historian. You understand that what's really going on is there's a mysticism that the event really did occur, or it could be an ancient legend story. Either way it goes, you know, every lie comes from some truth. You see what I'm saying? And they're held in this position in the classical format. So there's a lot of multitude of different scenarios that occur that are usually embodied into one story, so that one story can last and hold the essence of the legend, and hold the essence of the culture, and hold the essence of a multitude of events that may have occurred. You see what I'm saying? So, Doppler cites also the case of Stephen Hubner of Trotanu, who wandered about after death as a vampire, frightening and strangling several individuals. By order of the court, his body was disinterred and decapitated under the gallows tree. When his head was struck off, a stream of blood spurted forth, although he had already been 5 months buried. His remains were reduced to ashes and nothing more was heard of him. Okay. Another thing I wanted to say too was this right here. When they said, when they pulled her out, she had stains of blood on her clothes, and her shirt was in her mouth. She had been chewing on her shirt. That's in a multiple of cases. You'll find that all throughout European history, okay? Where they would dig up the body, they disinter the body, and there's all types of claw marks on the inside of the roof of the coffin, and it's all underneath their fingernails. They got stuff in their fingernails, and they got stuff, you know, and they had their clothes in their mouth, and there was blood on their clothes and stuff, or maybe they had scratched some of their skin off, you know. A lot of that is there, okay? So, William of Malmesbury, 1095 to 1143, says that in England it was commonly supposed that, and indeed certainly known, that evil men returned to walk in the world after they are dead and buried, inasmuch as their bodies are reanimated by the devil, who energizes them and compels them to act as he desires. Now, before I got to this information, the only other story I ever heard of a man raising somebody from the dead, wasn't it Jesus did one of his miracles? Huh? Mm-hmm. So, what's going on? You know, there's a multitude of cases of humans coming up out the grave. We know nothing about it. Okay? This is serious history. It needs to be known because it's being shoved down your face every day on these films, on these movies, right? So, the other vampire the villagers mentioned was a man who had died about 16 years before. That vampire supposedly drank the blood of his two sons, killing both of them. When they removed that body from the grave, they found that it was in a similar vampiric condition. The count, who apparently liked to vary his methods of vampire killing, ordered that the creature be burned. Okay? So the count, you see how they say that? They say the count from the hierarchy probably had the responsibility of carrying out these weird ass duties of handling these monsters in the land. And that's probably why his rank got removed and they had to change up the system of hierarchy on the planet. Okay? So, we had to hide the monsters. It says here that this nigga drank the blood of his own sons and that he died 16 years before, was still walking around drinking blood and sleeping in his casket. All of these stories about the undead, these individuals go back to their casket and sleep in their casket. And you have to also understand that there is no mention of them being out during day or night. They would be out at all times, day or night, in the ancient times. Okay, so vampirism and epidemic alike ravaged southeastern Europe in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, and continued to the 19th century. Epidemics raged in Chiles in 1708, Mediguea and Belgrade in 1725 and 1732. Serbia in 1825, Hungary in 1832, and in Danzig as late as 1855. They had a vampire. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It's right here, baby boy. What are you talking about? 1855, that's what? 150 years ago? Come on, that's not that long, buddy. Vampirism was also virulent at other times and provoked the academic tracks in German universities, especially at Leipzig. One such theological discussion, Dissertatio de Vampiris Serviensibus, 1733 by John Heinrich Zoft, gave a classic description. Vampires issue forth from their graves in the night, attack people sleeping quietly in their beds, suck out all of their blood from their bodies and destroy them. They beset men, women, and children alike, sparing neither age nor sex. Those who are under the fatal malignity of their influence complain of suffocation and a total deficiency of spirits, after which they soon expires. See, but this is written like he's some type of superior entity to the incubus and succubus. The incubus has sex with the women, and the succubus has sex with the men, and they extract out all your energy, and they take then the succubus women, take your sperm, and then they go impregnate another woman with the sperm, and the children from that sperm will always be underneath the hand of witchcraft. Okay? So it's basically like guaranteeing their soldiers, basically. Okay. Now the dance of death. The dance of death is important for many reasons. Here we go. An interesting remnant of the ancient dramatic representation of the dance of death is a game of catch who catch can, which is particularly popular in Saxony and Switzerland under the name of Who's Afraid of the Black Man? Perhaps the card game Black Peter, German name for Old Maid, which at Basel is known as the Black Man, owes its origin to this. According to Rockholtz, the catch who catch can game in Switzerland is played in the following manner. A kind of brown dance is engaged in during which the rhyme, man in black don't touch my back. That's almost like, don't step on the crack.
Break your mother's back.
Yeah, break your mother's back, okay. Man in black don't touch my back is sung. The dancers then draw up in a row according to size and number off. The one who happens to have the number 9 is the black man. His range is prescribed for him by means of a stick surmounted by a black cap, stuck in the ground 2 stone or 3 from the borders of his ground. Everyone whom he catches within the limits of his ground before he reaches the goal has to join him and help him to catch the rest. Are you afraid of the black man? He taunts the players. The more daring reply no, and venture into his territory. What do you do when the black man comes? He asks again. We take to our legs. The others shout. That this game is a remnant of plague and death dances is rendered more probable by the following rhyme belonging to the 14th century, which stands under a picture of a child being taken away from its mother by death. Alas, O dearest mother, dear, a black man drags me away from here. Why wilt thou let me go from thee? I cannot walk, no dance for me. So basically, they have plague dances and death dances. And the reason and why you have to understand the level of theology and also the combination with ancient civilization and tribal understanding as well, that there will be a dance for death, as there is a day of the dead, there is a celebration of life, and there is a celebration of death. So, due to the amount of death that was occurring during the plagues, you best believe that the levels of insanity incorporated with the dances and the energy that was imposed inside the dances to be defensive against the plague and against death in general, as death was taking many different faces during the plagues and during these times. Okay, so this is the original dance of death right here. This is the most iconic drawing. Okay, this drawing right here is showing you death in many different stages. As you can see, this individual has the organs out and is a female, as you see the tip right here, and also symbolizing the hair. Okay, these individuals are in skeletal form and are at the last stage of the decomposition of death and are enjoying the graces of freedom, as they have more freedom than the other 3 individuals. All right, we must understand that the opening of the womb, the opening of the torso, is the sign of no more existence. There's no need for the organs. Okay? For life is now in skeletal form, which no beauty is needed. No flesh is needed. We will play the music and we will do as children with the stages of freedom. This is what death is. And they understand that, as I do. So the sheet is a representation. As you are born with the sheet, you sleep with the sheet, and you will rest rolled in a sheet as the flute plays. And that is death for you. Okay. A strange personification of death emerged from the plague. Years on the painted walls of the Camposanto in Pisa. The figure is not the conventional skeleton, but a black-cloaked old woman with streaming hair and wild eyes, carrying a broad, bladed murderous scythe. her feet ending claws instead of toes, depicting the triumph of death. The fresco was painted in or about 1350 by Francesco Traini as part of a series that included scenes of the Last Judgment and the tortures of hell. The same subject painted at the same time by Traini's master Andrea Orcagna in the Church of Santa Croce in Florence has since been lost except for a fragment. Together, the frescoes mark the start of a pervasive presence in death and art. Not yet the cult it was to become by the end of the century, but its beginning. Usually death was personified as a skeleton with an hourglass in sight, in a white shroud or bare bone, grinning at the irony of man's fate reflected in his image, that all men from beggar to emperor, from harlot to queen, from ragged clerk to pope, must come to this, no matter what their poverty or power in life, all vanity equally equalized by death. The temporal is nothing. What matters is the afterlife of the soul. So, we go over death again. We see this one is not fully decomposed. When he's brought to the skeletal with the skin, still has flesh. I don't know what the ribbon states. Okay, this one has his organs missing and is carrying off many people as he is on wheels, the cart. And as this is a sign of the plague and carrying and taking the whole city. We must stand strong as death will be easy as we swing through the town. This one is the full of direct attack. Your last grace of begging for life. And this is the plague as you have been rotted. Okay? Now, this is death riding on a horse. Which a horse, as the headless horseman, the horse is the sign of death and is a war animal and desires war. The horse is very special. There are mare gods and mare goddesses. Alright, maybe we'll talk about that at another time. And the nightmare is of the horse. Okay. Now, ghost armies. There's a lot of ghost armies mentioned in the book. There's about 2-3 cases. There's several more, and there's information that will lead you to several more. As this was, I don't want to say common, but it did occur and was known. And of course, it was a story told to the children. Okay, so the troops of night wanderers, commonly called Hurlethingi, okay, who are mentioned by map, seem to have been apparitions amongst whom there appeared alive many who were known to have been long since dead. But it is not recorded that they exercised any vampirish qualities. The account given is exceedingly curious. In Brittany, there used to be seen at night long trains of soldiers who passed by in dead silence, conducting carriages of booty. And from these, Britain peasants have actually stolen away horses and cattle and kept them for their own use. In some cases, no harm seems to have resulted, but in other instances, this was speedily followed by sudden death. Companies of these troops of night wanderers, who are commonly called Hurlethingi, were very well known in England even to the present day. The reign of our King Henry II, who is now ruling over us, these armies went to and fro without let or stay, hurrying hither and thither, rambling about in the most mad vagrancy, all unseating in unbroken silence. And amongst the band there appeared alive many who were known to have been long since dead. This company of Hurlethingi was last espied in the marches of Hereford and Wales in the first year of King Henry II, tramping along at high noon with carts and beasts of burden, with pack saddles and provender baskets, with birds and dogs, and a mixed multitude of men and women who first caught sight of this troop by their shouting and blowing of horns and trumpets aroused the whole district. And as in the manner of those border folk who are ever on the watch, almost instantly there assembled various bands fully equipped. And because they were unable to obtain a word in reply from this strange host, they incontinently prepared to make them answer to a shower of darts and javelins. And then the troop seemed to mingle with the air and forthwith vanished away out of sight. From that day, this mysterious company has never been seen by man. So far as I'm aware, beyond the suggested connection with the old story of King Hurla, no actual explanation has been offered of this phantom army. But it may be observed that although such an occurrence in England is altogether exceptional, it is not entirely unparalleled. Odericus Vitalis, Ecclesiastical History, 8, circa 1700, has a history of a priest named Walk. In January 1091, saw at Bonnabal in the church of Saint Aubrey of Anjou, a company of Harlequins, a black cortege with black horses and black banners, including people of all classes, ladies of quality, knights, ecclesiastics, and many of Walkeland's own former acquaintances and friends. Grim Teutonic mythology cites many appearances of these shades of the dead, and notes that in Gervais and Tilbury time, certain haunted woods in Britain ran with King Arthur's mighty army. Okay? So, we all knew about ghost armies, but it was never a thing to lay in the head, even though it was laid in your head. We never really thought nothing about it, but you have seen this stuff on movies. Okay? It's all coming from the movies. Okay? If we didn't know about it through the movies, we wouldn't know about it at all. And that's just the truth. The visions of hell that were written in the 12th century offer more frightening visions of a damnation of being bestialized. These visions begin to show the fear of a preoccupation with bestial intercourse that increased after the 12th century. Earlier visions revealed fear of being eaten. As I described in the last chapter, by the 12th century, new fears were added. The monk of Evesham in 1196 described punishment of people who had presumably engaged in bestial intercourse. He wrote with horror, "The most loathsome and severe of all remains still to be told, because all who were punished there have been guilty of a wickedness in life that is unmentionable by a Christian. Those therefore were continually attacked by huge fiery monsters, horrible beyond description. Despite their opposition, these committed on them the same damnable crimes that they had been guilty of on earth. Until that time I had never heard or thought that both sexes could have been corrupted by such filthiness." That's in relation to bestial activity. This statement is saying that in the majority of real paintings during those times that you would have seen in churches in the 1300s, they had the animals raping humans in the paintings, and that's to maintain the fear. Or there's a line there, you know. Are you telling them a person to do it, or are you trying to tell them to be scared from it? Because, you know, that's what's happening whenever you release some information. So visions of bestial intercourse not only plagued those guilty of the act on earth, but became part of the general vision of the horror of hell. Now, when you look at these horrors of hell, I want you all to pay attention. These individuals, these devils and demons are here with the chicken feet. Always remember the chicken feet, which is related to the basilisk, and also other things related to the chicken, the rooster, basically. Because the rooster is the first to let you know that the morning sun has risen. Okay? And they relate that to, I think, the God or the devil, one of them. There's some philosophy behind it. And I'll get to that later. I'll release that in further information. But that information is not... No, in Volume 2, I do go back over the basilisk, which is who that is related to. But I don't know if that's specifically in there, I can't say. But I do go over the basilisk again, and I'm telling you personally that the chicken feet on these devils are related to the activity of the chicken. Okay? As also the horns and the status of the tail are related to being a beast and not having the capabilities of man, like sleeping on the back or sitting down upright. If you have a tail, you can't sit upright. So, each one of these holes that you see, or each one of these pots that have different forms of torture, okay, are for different forms of sins that were committed, and how you shall be punished for your sins. Okay? So, all of that's here. Get it? The colors that are used on the devils have a lot to do with it. Blue is the color of deception. Green is the color of sickness. On the negative side of the definitions of colors, as colors also have a positive side of definitions. Let's not forget the big devil here that will always have one face or three faces, and usually that's at the top of his head, and he will always have a face representing the lower self at the abdomen. Okay, so as I stated here, the lower self is being identified. These feet are of chicken feet, as you can see again. Okay, as I stated, the devils will usually be green, yellow, red, or blue. Those are the solid colors of the devils in old European paintings. You have to understand that as in the other ones you saw, each one of these little departments have different forms of torture for the different activity that they committed on earth and how they shall be punished in hell. Now you must understand that during these times, the Hindu mysticism and the Islamic theology all have similar individuals. They're all drawn the same. They have wings, some of them have wings, some of them don't. They have the chicken feet, they have the horns on the head. And these same individuals are being drawn for the span of over 500 years, 600 years. Okay, so that's many generations of people who died. And they're still drawing the same devils, same devils, same devils. For 500, 600 years, through 3 different religions, I could probably pull it up. And I'm pretty guaranteed if I go over there in the Orient, in China, and Japan, in their ancient literature, I will find the same entities drawn in the same format. And you will not see these entities in Maya. You will not see these entities in ancient Egypt. So, are they real? They have a possibility to be real, and they also have a possibility to be confined to a specific region and culture. Okay? That's all there is to that. Now, the demons. The number of demons was legion. Saint Macarius of Alexandria prayed to God to let him see the host of evil. The saint's eyes were opened, and he saw a multitude of devils as numerous as bees. Alphonsus de Spina, in 1459, thought 1/3 of the original angels became devils, specifically 133 million. One 16th century cybernetician in 1567 counted 6 princes commanding 6,666,000 devils. Another estimated more precisely 7.4 million demons are commanded by 79 infernal princes. Okay? Johann Weyer corrected his figures to 7.4 million demons and 72 princes of hell. A few years later, another researcher said the devils number more than half the population of the world. The real number that stands to this day is the Lesser Key of Solomon and the 72 princes. This picture right here is done by Michelangelo when he was supposedly 14, 15 years old. Same Michelangelo that did Sistine Chapel, or the Sistine Temple, basically. Here we go. We got the sticks, similar to the wild man, and we will crack the skull. This is the temptation. This is the lust. This is what man fights to stay honorable. Torment of St. Anthony, to stay righteous. It was thought that the earth swarmed with millions of demons of both sexes, many of whom, like the human race, traced their lineage to Adam, who after the fall was led astray by devils, assuming the forms of beautiful women to deceive him. These demons increased and multiplied among themselves with the most extraordinary rapidity. Their bodies were of the thin air, and they could pass through the hardest substances with the greatest ease. That means they were ethereal, right? To pass through the hardest substances with the greatest ease. They had no fixed residence or abiding place, but were tossed to and fro in the immensity of space. When thrown together in great multitudes, they excited whirlwinds in the air and tempests in the waters, and took delight in destroying the beauty of nature and the monuments of the industry of man. Although they increased among themselves like ordinary creatures, their numbers were daily augmented by the souls of the wicked men, of children stillborn, of women who died in childbed, and a person killed in duels. The whole air was supposed to be full of them, and many unfortunate men and women drew them by thousands into their mouths and nostrils at every inspiration. And the demons lodging in their bowels or other parts of their bodies tormented them with pains and diseases of every kind, and sent them frightful dreams. This is true. All of this, as stated, is very true. Okay? The increasing and the multiplying of the demons occurred because after the Garden of Eden, Adam disassociated himself from Eve for over 130 years and was having sex with Lilith, who was creating these demons who are now in the air. These demons that are in the air are identified to us today as thought patterns and principalities, okay, which are all controlled by decision. Okay, so your decision making is going to either allow angels in your life or devils in your life. Period. What you say, what you put out of your mouth, what you let in your mouth, what you eat, all of that shit is correlated, and that's what they're talking about what's going in your mouth and your nostrils, all your orifices, all your little holes you have on your body. The demon can come in and come out. Okay. Now.
The greatest ease.
Yeah, with the greatest of ease. In his Encyclopedia of Occultism, Louis Spence writes, from other evidence, it is pretty clear that Faust was a wandering magician or necromancer whose picturesque character won him wide publicity or notoriety. Faust is an individual that you will run into when you study The Alchemist. He is the embodiment of a lot of different other individuals that were doing alchemical work at the time. One thing about Faust and his representation as an alchemist is that he sold his soul to the devil to get all knowledge in the world. The selling of the soul to the devil is either done for all the knowledge in the world or for all the riches in the world. One or two reasons. That's it. It's usually there's a little ritual that goes on, which usually deals with the Oscar of infame or deals with the signing of a pact. Now, let's keep it moving. Whatever the truth of Johann Faust's capabilities as a magician, he appears to have been sincere in his intentions. In a book published in Wittenberg in 1524, he describes how as a youth, he experimented with conjuring up spirits, following the directions he learned from a book of magical formulas. At first, I had little faith. That what was promised would take place, he confessed. But at the very first invocation, which I attempted, a mighty spirit manifested himself, desiring to know why I had invoked him. His coming so amazed me that I scarcely knew what to say, but finally asked him if he would serve me in my magical investigations. Faust goes on to explain how in his ignorance he had not taken precautions to protect himself with the correct magic symbols, and thus was at the mercy of the spirit who demanded that he sign a pact. I did not dare refuse his request and resign myself to the inevitable, considering it wisest to turn my mantle according to the wind. The spirit Astaroth, by name, then proceeded to introduce Faust to lesser spirits, two of which the magician thought too slow for his needs. The third spirit, when asked how quick he was, replied, I am as swift as human thought. Faust found this entirely satisfactory and thus formed a partnership that lasted for some time. Much of the rest of the 16th century book is devoted to repeated assertions that many spirits are willing to be invoked by man, and it gives specific instruction about how to draw the circles. Prepare the parchment with the correct symbols and read off the sacred invocation to the appropriate spirit. You must also note the day and hour. The writer adds, for each spirit can only be invoked at certain times. And I think you need to stick to, SpongeBob coming on at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, Standard Eastern Time. Okay? You need to stick to pressing the 2 on your microwave and watching the dish turn around in circles. Okay. That's be best for you. Don't get down with this shit because there's too much detail. There's too much detail that you aren't going to be able to really have the extreme focus for. No, you're not going to have the ingredients, nor do you have the essence, meaning, you know, your mom was maybe into the system and fucking with the shit. Your grandma was fucking with the shit that's been passed down generationally. That way it's deep in your blood, and yeah, you may have some capabilities if it goes down on that level. Now here's the pact. Here's a picture of the pact. We have the signature. Leviathan is written right here. I think this is Astaroth's signature right here. You know, a couple of the popular guys. We have a pitchfork right here. This is signed by the Devils. Okay? And Urbain Grandier. Okay? He's a 17th century French priest, which I will have his story in volume 3. Okay, but here is the pact for volume 2. Now, Urbain Grandier, 17th century French priest who was tried and burned at the stake for witchcraft. One of the documents presented at his trial was a diabolical pact he supposedly signed, which also bears what are supposed to be the seals of several demons, including that of Satan himself. Second part of the pact, allegedly signed between Urbain Grandier and the devil. This half is also signed by Satan, Leviathan, Astaroth, and a number of other demons. This image is from Dictionnaire Inferno au Bibliothèque Universelle by Colin D. Clancy. Here we have it. This is the pact. So everybody talking about Selene Soul, here you go. You can write it on up. Bring it down to Sin City. I'll have the crony sign it on up for you. Fax it back. Well, email it back with the seal, okay? Yeah, here we go. Now, conjuring the devil. In 1438, for example, Pierre Valin called up Beelzebub, whom he received as his master. In 1475, Satanus appeared. Okay, he shows up. And in 1480, Lucibel. Most curious was the elaborate invocation at Provence in 1452 of 3 demons or devils, Beelzebub, Satanus, and Lucifer. Faustian high magic seems to have had an influence here, as these evil ones were summoned in a ceremony that included the use of magic circle. Boomayay. Magic. I can make the screen turn, nigga. Don't even touch it, nigga. Magic. Conjure, nigga. Conjure. Okay, so here we go. This is the circle, and she has the many familiars. Here is familiar. Well, that looks like that could be a little wax man. We have the candles. We have the sigils written in the ground for the proper angels and the astrology. And then we have the stick, the wand, which is of specific wood. We have more demons over here who are most likely familiars. We have, this is the owl, it looks like. Okay, the owl is the strigay. And then we have the demon once again with the chicken feet. Okay? And the long nose and the chin, which comes from the Turkish enemies and the Moors. Okay? I'm going to paint the devil like you. You are the devil with your complicated shit. Okay? That's how they looked at it. So basically, why are Muslims the devil? Because your systems are complicated. Look at your fucking buildings. You got all this art shit going on. We just need rocks on top of rocks. You got this shit looking all, you got blue, purple and shit in the tile and shit. We don't need the mathematical shit. You be an extra, nigga. Okay. Then anything extra is the devil. Okay? Shit. That's all there is to it. And that's how they saw it. Why? Because man isn't supposed to have knowledge. So if you have more knowledge than me, you're the devil. Automatically. I am to be in fear. Because man isn't supposed to have knowledge. You're supposed to be a dumbass. You are to be waddling in the field with the hog. I am to throw lettuce at you. You are not to have knowledge, okay? Okay, niggas don't read. So whenever you see a nigga that don't read, he is an animal. Can the animal read? Can the animal use the calculator watch? Can the animal use the remote control? No. No, no, no. Can the animal, okay? Can the animal make love face to face? Huh? No. The animal cannot do that. Therefore, the animals can't kiss mouth to mouth. They can only lick each other's nose. Huh? Therefore, you don't kiss your woman, you are an animal. Okay? Does animal suck on the breast for fun? No. No. There's only a couple of animal groups that can have sex for fun reasons instead of just procreation. There's only like 3 of them. I think dolphins one, bonobo primates is another group. I think the penguins is another group. This is a rare group. There's maybe 1 or 2 because we understand the law, the ethereal law is the exception to the rule, and we have to have the oddball character to complete the circle. You see, we have to have the outlaw to complete the circle at all times. So, the Codex Gigas. This book was written in 1 day by a monk who got the assistance from the devil to write the book. The Bible is in here, the Quran is in here, the Torah is in here, the Talmud is in here. Alright? The Book of Revelations is in here. And the last 13 chapters of the Book of Revelations is missing. I think that's the rule to this book. This is the Codex Gigas. If it stands up, it's about maybe past your waist to your chest at height. This is how big the books were then during those times. So we don't know if they were giants. Who got books that big? That's ridiculous. You see what I'm saying? So this big picture right here is found in the book, which I will state this is an Islamic drawing. Now that I look at it, I can compare European drawings and it's not like this. I can tell by the way the nails are in here, the way the devil is sitting, and also this round hat, which they don't put on devils in European drawings and paintings. They don't have nothing round is around the devil's head, because the roundness around a caricature's head in European paintings signifies its holiness, and that's done with the martyrs. Huh? You see? So I know what I'm talking about. So I don't know where this is at specifically in the book, but this is the Codex Gigas, supposedly the devil book. Okay. Now, the devil, identical in form but independent in content, is the list contained in Les Livres des Esprits, found in a 15th century French manuscript. This compilation lists 47 spirits, the triad Lucifer, Beelzebub, and Satan. 4 associated with the cardinal directions, then others for whom title, appearance, function, and number of subordinate legions are given, as in the Munich Handbook. Most commonly, the spirits here listed are said to give accurate response to the master's questions. Baal, Bacal, Oz, Ophis, Artis, Gazan, Diusion, Orient, Poemon, Amoimon, Barthus, Samson, Ripos, Bertath, Distolas, Asmodee, Phios, Carmola, Abugor, Ka, Boom, Aman. They also furnish instruction. Beelzebub, Barthus, Artis, sometimes in all sciences. Cerbur, Harcus, Tutorus, Ho-Ho, Amoimon, often regarding more specific matters, the virtues of herbs and precious stones, Makin, Parcus, Forcus, together, transformation of metals into gold or silver, Berteth, all language, King Agarat, astronomy, and other sciences, Martha's Furfur, the sounds of birds and dogs, Barbus, they disclose or provide buried treasure, Diusion, Parcus, Abugor, Beelzebub, Barbus, Samson, Furcus. They make a person invisible, Parcus Biel. They obtained the love of women, DK Furfur, bitter, or of queens and women generally, whether maidens or not. Samson. Look at that. Samson is the one that can get the women. They secured provisions of dignity, signaries, and favor. Agarat, Betur, Baal, Amoiman, Poeman, Berteth, Gazan, Artis, Biel, as well as wealth. Boom, Serbir, Distolas, or specifically of gold and silver. Ka'ab, Dam, Beelzebub. They can furnish means by which the master or someone else at the master's will may be transported from place to place. Duque, Machin, Mafaras, Boom, Parkas, and the spirit Distolas can provide a horse to transport the master in an hour, 100, 200, or 300 feet, but no further. Unlike the list of spirits in the Munich handbook, however, the Liber des Espirits also indicates that certain spirits specialize in maleficent magic. They can bring death or illness, deformity, destruction, or of adversaries, discordant battles. They serve as Beelzebub performs, which would have endeared him to Faustus. And they're talking about Faustus, is to reveal all the secrets of hell. Okay? Why would you want to know the secrets of hell? Okay?
Why?
The word devil is the same as God. It is a corruption of diva, the Sanskrit form of God, the Latin Zeus, French Dieu, and our word deus, meaning a little devil, can all be traced to the same root. The word devil is a diminutive form from the root div, and from it we get the word divine. Devil merely means little god. It is a well-known fact that when a new religion is established in any country, the god or gods of the old religion is established. It is a well-known fact that when a new religion is established in any country, the god or gods of the old religion become the devil of the new religion. When examining the records of the medieval witches, we are dealing with the remains of a pagan religion which survived in England at least until the 18th century. 1,200 years after the introduction of Christianity, the practices of this ancient faith can be found in France at the present day, and in Italy, La Vecchia Religion, the old religion, still numbers many followers in spite of the efforts of the Christian churches. The devil was a Gothic satyr, with horns and cloven hoofs, fierce teeth and claws, a sulfurous smell, and sometimes ass's ears. The ass's ears is in reference to Jesus riding the donkey on Good Friday. The Lord developed as much from the minds of the prosecutors as from the hallucinations of the accused, and together they laid the ground for the rage against witchcraft that was to explode upon the next century. A man ahead of his time, Nicholas Esme, suggested that the source of demons and specters could be the disease of melancholy. He also made the point that evidence for sorcery was derived from confessions of the torture, and that many miracles were fraudulently devised by the clergy to increase offerings to their churches. Boom. So, once again, black. The dog and the horse will always be relative to hell, will always be relative to death. Okay? We have the priest down here. You see the priest now. Don't forget that. That's why a lot of people say religion is full of shit. Because you're going to do the devil's deed too. And you're doing it. You're robbing and thieving people. You're fucking the whores and snorting the dope, buddy. You see it. You touching on the children. You coming out as fucking homos. But the devil ain't even the fucking bag. They say the sodomy is worse than murder. Okay? When it comes to religion. Did you know that? In religion, sodomy is worse than murder. So, can I do what I like with my own? This one right here is clowning black people. Obviously, we can see it's a political drawing. It is a political drawing. I don't know for what group or what the definitions of it is, but I definitely know that it must have been drawn around probably the mid 1800s or late 1700s, and it's definitely talking about black people. So, but it's also showing, the slavery or the responsibility that white people are under with all indigenous people on this planet. Now, the origins of the devil's blackness is a subject of importance not only for the history of symbolism, but also as a partial explanation of the ancient fear of the black man that disturbs race relations today. Carmelina Naselli's explanation that the fear of blackness arises from the struggle of early Christianity with the blacks for the control of northeastern Africa is implausible. But she is correct in maintaining that it precedes the Crusades. The Ethiopian as the devil, far from being new with Othello or even with the Song of Roland, is found in the writings of the fathers. For example, the black one of the Epistle of Barnabas, sin and hell are dark, and St. Jerome said, born of the devil, we are black. There is a deep psychological terror of blackness associated with death and night. The black man is also a Jungian archetype of the brute or the lower nature or drives, and is found in the capacity long before there was any considerable contact between Europeans and black Africa. Some of the characteristics assigned to especially male blacks by white races today, such as animal strength, hairiness, and great sexual potency, including outsized organs, were applied more than half a millennium ago to the black devil. The features of the black one of medieval symbolism are not always Negroid. Naselli herself cites a description of a black devil having a sharp face and fine hair, nor is the devil usually described as Negroid in the later witch trials. Rather, he is often dressed in shaggy animal skins, suggesting a closer connection with chthonic deities than African blacks. Chthonic deities are found in the Book of the Dead in ancient Egypt. There are symbology and there is also philosophy that go all the way back to Greece pertaining to the black man and large phalluses and stupidity and animalism. And that's why the Greek statues will always promote a small penis due to the fact that the small penis does not build a mental desire for sexual activity, which once again removes and divides the line of human and animal. Animals, their only point is to procreate. Okay, so that's all they do is have sex. Even though some of them do it underneath a specific season and, you know, moon or star or whatever. There are some that do it for free, but that is their own point in existence. They build nothing. They do nothing to make a mark of in time or existence to say that, you know, we were here as lions. If you was to wipe out the lions right now, they're just gone. There's nothing that they have that states it's humans that created lion symbology and added it to them that would state, okay, lions were here, just like the dodo bird. The dodo bird is not in existence, okay? But we know about the dodo bird because the human has kept it alive by drawings, keeping it in the dictionary, keeping it in the encyclopedia, so on and so forth. So those are things that we can do as humans that animals can't do. And that line in psychology has been worked upon in the Caucasian realm since Greece. Okay? So the bestial activity that men do have, and this activity of always worried about, you know, sex and having sex all the time and running after a multitude of women, has been the nature of black males. That is commonly the nature of black males right now. Okay? And that was also the nature of black males in old Europe. This is one reason why the Moors fell. It's because when they had control, they didn't take control. Having control and taking control is two different things. Okay? I can have control of a land as a king and sit on my throne and get drunk and fuck with whores all day. I have control of the land though. I can call the peasants up here, I can tell them bring me 1,000 loaves of bread right now or I'll have all your heads. You know, I don't care where you get the meat from. I can do that. Okay? But that's not taking control. Taking control is saying, okay, how many men do I have in my fleet? How many men do I have on my farms? How many men do I have in the market? What is being imported? What is being exported? Do we have silk? Is my daughter learning her fucking courting correctly? Is my son over there doing his hunting? You know, I need to go fuck some whores in the land to have some babies just in case this bitch up in here can't have no babies. You see what I'm saying? That's taking control. You see what I'm saying? No, we're not going to be no fucking Catholics. You know, I like the Waldensian way. We're going to take the Catharist way. You know, that's taking control. You see, Man, niggas don't take control. Having control is a completely different thing, my nigga. You can sit in the car, sit in the driver's seat, and don't cut the car on. You still got control. You see what I'm saying? So, this is it. This is the third volume. This is not the official cover. But you saw the official cover on the Witchcraft, volume 2. So that's it for the Welcome to the Hell. The black man and the symbology of the coloring of the black man, which is mentioned here, and I believe this statement came out of Jeffrey Russell. Definitely comes from the plagues. Ergot was black. Typhus was black. The bodies were rotting to black. The pus came out as black. The birds that came and pecked on the bodies were vultures and ravens and crows, and all of them are black. The owls that screech at night are black and dark colored. Okay? The deers that were in the the bears that were attacking, dark colored. The wolves, dark colored. You see what I'm saying? So everything that was attacking them was black. There was even a time period stated in the weather section that there was no sun for 3 years straight. It's black. There's no food, and it was raining the entire time. There's no food, everybody's dying, everything is shit. It's all black, my nigga. Okay? You best, just like we were watching on the Game of Thrones, huh? And they were showing dude in his monk situation. And he had to get the shit from one priest, and then he had to get the soup, and they was eating out of similar bowls, and everything was liquid and drag. And man, they've been in that scenario for so long that was life. There was nothing to complain about. This is how we're moving. You see what I'm saying? So when the slavery situation happened for us, oh my God, niggas didn't know what was what. Niggas didn't know whether to complain, not complain. They were watching people getting hacked up. You know, people getting cut up and all types of shit, and food getting forced down people's throat, niggas getting ripped in two. You know, we don't know what's loaded in the DNA from the events of what our ancestors may have seen and what their ancestors may have brought to the coast of Africa. Period. They could have showed up on all coasts on the planet with these fucking werewolves. I mean, if I be going to war with your ass for 400 years in my fucking land, I know how you operate, my dog. I know how to catch you, motherfuckers. I can catch you motherfuckers, trap you motherfuckers, transport you motherfuckers. Don't think that they couldn't have put no werewolves on them ships and showed up at the African coast and wiped out 5,000 motherfuckers with just letting 2 of them go, letting 3 of them go, wipe out all these niggas. You see what I'm saying? Why do I say that? Because guess what? You can drive downtown in your major city right now, and guess what? They got a whale sitting in the middle of the city in a big ass tank. They got giraffes in your shit. They know how to transport animals. And they've been knowing how to transport for a long time. So, don't think that what you just seen just came, it was just, the world was born in 1980. You know? It looks like Jerry Curl's been around a lot longer. So y'all go to kickedoutofheaven.com, get the book, get the DVDs. Look out for the volume 3 with the black cover. Okay? And we're gonna be making moves on it. Get at me. God 720. Buy the money religion.
What's the skinny jean wearing nigga with purple dreads? Got a divorce a bald bitch that give him dry head. What about her best friend? Looks like her baby daddy on the gender bend. Trying to put the little homies on a homo trend? Fuck what they say. His boss, Lil Wayne, lovey daddy won't let him play. Tired of chicken dumplings steady coming from the AU niggas be from small towns and the neighboring states. So please let me present the facts on the case. Your Honor, they're all cowards, you can see it on their face. If they make a wrong move, the Jew will put them in their place. So I want you young and little niggas, grab your ankles while you on the chase for the
Hey, make some man take things over. Hey, let him loose, hard to swallow. Hey, put you there where things are hollow. Hey,
you niggas got no person, they hurting inside. Their daddy wasn't there and their mama told them lies. 50 Cent got the muscles but the bitches got his pride. Rick Ross on decline, his outfits a disguise. Snoop got locked up cause Whitey thought he was high. Suge Knight got hit with a bell at $1,025,000. These supposed to be our bad guys. At the same time, every nigga in the country about to get shot up. And ain't a billionaire nigga that done dropped $1. What about Farrakhan and the Million Man March? Every time niggas gather they gotta bring grocery carts. I'll let you minstrels dance in the King's Court with no heart for the motherfucking
make some man take things over. Hey, let him loose, hard to swallow. Hey, put you there where things are hollow. Hey,
niggas speak and think on a 3rd grade level. They complain about signing contracts with the devil. Even Puffy got in trouble and had to be humble. Too much gas in that Lambo, get your head bubble. UCLA got money from slave days. What about Dr. Dre, who almost lost a big deal? Cause a homie got on Instagram flashing champagne and bills. Meek Mill apologizing to Cheap Thrill. While West Coast of Texas give a fuck how you feel. Jay-Z know the deal, be a father for real. Hip-hop is dead, the bitch just lost the repeal. Now tell me how many more niggas get killed for the
hey, make some man take things over. Hey, let him loose, hard to swallow. Hey, put you there where things are hollow. Hey, hey, your brain is just the flame. The bunch of church to keep you in.
Not resisting, sir. Not resisting.